You've seen this before. Different situations, different people, different timing. Yet somehow the result feels familiar. The same tightening in your chest, the same internal defense, the same conclusion formed too quickly. And afterward you say, it was just this situation. It was just this person. But then it happens again. Pause. Repetition is rarely random. When something repeats across different situations, it usually means something underneath has not changed. The better question is not, why does this keep happening to me? It is, what inside me has remained organized the same way? The Emerald Tablet says, that which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below. Not metaphor, structure. It suggests that patterns replicate across scale. The visible mirrors the invisible. The surface reflects configuration beneath it. If the outer scene keeps rearranging itself into the same result, the underlying architecture may be unchanged. Look upward. A spiral galaxy rotates in a precise geometric pattern. Look downward. A shell curves in the same proportional rhythm. River systems branch like veins. Lightning forks like neural pathways. The same geometry appears at different magnitudes, not because the universe copies itself, because it operates by coherent design. Correspondence is not coincidence. It is repetition across scale. If structure governs stars, it governs thought. If pattern governs nature, it governs interpretation. Now bring this closer. The argument was visible. The reaction was visible. The silence that followed was visible. But something moved first. Before the voice tightened, before the withdrawal, before the defense, there was an interpretation, a decision made silently, a meaning assigned automatically. You did not see it, but it initiated everything. This is the subtle layer. And the tablet gives a precise instruction. Separate the subtle from the gross. Separate the invisible configuration from the visible result. Separate the interpretation from the event itself. Most people attempt to repair the gross layer. They adjust tone. They regulate behavior. They attempt better communication. But if the subtle layer remains intact, the gross reorganizes around it. Because structure reorganizes expression. This is why changing circumstances alone rarely changes outcomes. The environment changes, but the interpretation remains the same. And interpretation is where patterns begin. Different partner, same insecurity. Different job, same frustration. Different opportunity, same hesitation. At some point, chance becomes an insufficient explanation. When repetition persists across variables, the constant deserves examination. The tablet continues. It ascends from the earth to heaven, and again descends to the earth. This is not religious language. It is process. First, you ascend, from the event to the reaction, from the reaction to the thought, from the thought to the belief, from the belief to the identity structure beneath it. You step upward through layers until you see the architecture. That is ascent. You detach from the immediate scene and observe the mechanism. Then you descend, back into conversation, back into action, back into relationship, but now with structural awareness. When belief shifts, reaction shifts. When reaction shifts, outcome reorganizes. Not dramatically, not theatrically, but reliably, because structure is patient. This is the strong force of all forces, the tablet says. Why would structure be called strong? Because it operates without noise. Gravity does not announce itself, it simply governs. Geometry does not argue, it simply shapes. Correspondence functions the same way. Once seen, pattern stops feeling like destiny. It becomes design. You are not trapped. You have been consistent, and consistency reveals architecture. But there is another layer. Sometimes repetition feels emotional. Sometimes it feels personal. But emotion is not the root. Emotion is expression. Structure is root. If a building keeps cracking in the same place, you do not repaint the wall. You examine the foundation. If a response keeps activating in the same way, you do not condemn the reaction. You examine the belief beneath it. This is not self-criticism. It is structural literacy. The macrocosm does not panic about repetition. Seasons cycle. Tides return. Planets orbit. Repetition is not failure. It is information. If pattern exists in nature, pattern exists in mind. If pattern exists in mind, it will express through life. The law does not punish, it reflects. So if something keeps repeating, do not rush to control the surface. Pause. Ask, what assumption activated first? What did I decide was true? What belief organized that interpretation? The subtle layer is difficult to see because it feels obvious. And what feels obvious rarely gets questioned. But once observed, it loosens. And once loosened, it can reorganize. If you recognized a structure in yourself here, something important has already happened. You stepped slightly outside the pattern. But recognition alone does not complete the process. The Emerald Tablet describes what happens next. It says, "It ascends from the earth to heaven." What does that mean? How does awareness rise above experience so that the pattern can finally be seen clearly? That is where the next stage begins. In the next episode, we examine the ascent. Subscribe if you intend to continue the work.